So tell the audience why teaching is a great second career.
Right. Well, I see a lot of videos on your channel about ageism, about people trying to go on interviews, get jobs, and they're not getting them. They're not getting callbacks. They think it might be because of age. And teaching, there are so many jobs out there. You will not have to worry. You will get a job no matter what your age is.
Today, I am with Teacher Kelly, and I call her Teacher Kelly. Actually, Kelly, your YouTube channel is called Teacher Kelly Tag. And, before I get on, how did you come up with the name Teacher Kelly Tag?
Well, I am a teacher. My name is Kelly, and then tag, like you tag videos. So that's how I came up with it.
Yeah, that was interesting when I saw that. Well, let me tell the audience just a little bit about how we connected.
Yeah.
You were watching one of my videos here on Over 50 TV, and you reached out to me, and you mentioned about a second career as a teacher as an option. It's something that I've covered a few times here at Over 50 TV, and I thought, why not ask you or invite you to come on and just talk to the audience about this as an option for a second career. So I'm real glad you're here. Thanks for coming and joining us today.
Thanks for having me on.
So listen, tell the audience a little bit about yourself, if we can start out that way.
Yes. So I started off teaching, doing substitute teaching, being an assistant teacher, and then I taught online for a while before then going into the public school. But my first career was actually in video. I was a videographer.
So tell the audience why teaching is a great second career.
Right. Well, I see a lot of videos on your channel about ageism, about people trying to go on interviews, get jobs, and they're not getting them. They're not getting callbacks. They think it might be because of age. And teaching, there are so many jobs out there. You will not have to worry. You will get a job no matter what your age is, especially in the high needs areas such as special education or math or science. For sure, they always need teachers.
So let me get this straight, okay? So you're saying that if someone wants to get or become, and somebody who is older, who thinks about getting into the teaching profession as a second career, you're saying it's not a problem, though people do not care about their age.
No, not at all. And I mean, each state and even each county within a state can have different requirements of what it takes to become a teacher. So it can really depend on what state you are in, of how easy or hard it is to get into teaching as a second career. But, well, surprise, surprise, the states that kind of pay less, it's easier to break in. But that doesn't mean that you can't break in if you're in a state that pays teachers more.
Well, don't you have to be certified though, and go to get a teacher's degree, or don't you have to do all that?
You do. So if you already have a bachelor's degree, then you can become a teacher. Basically, in my state, and again, this can vary from state to state, they will let you start teaching. And while you're teaching, you have a certain amount of time, it's usually 2 to 3 years, to then get the certification. So my county is sending me to school, paying for half of it. And I'm in a cohort with a bunch of people who are doing the same thing, who are all doing teaching as a second career. But we are teaching while we're getting the certification. So we have the teacher salary, the teacher benefits, the teacher tenure, a first year teacher, but then you get to move up a step each year. So you get all of the benefits of being a teacher while you're getting the certification. So you don't have to wait and get the certification first. But
you're saying though that one of the requirements, at least as far as you've seen, is you need a minimum at a bachelor's degree. Is that pretty much what I'm understanding?
Yes, in order to just be able to start teaching while you're getting certified. Now, if somebody out there doesn't have a bachelor's to begin with, then there's still programs where I know in my county, they're paying for people to go through undergrad. They're paying for the whole thing. I don't think you wouldn't be able to get the teacher's salary while you're working toward the certification, but you could do something else. Maybe you could be an assistant teacher,
Mm-hmm.
and they're full-time. They usually get the benefits while you're going to school or something. But if you already have a bachelor's degree in anything, then you can get one of these provisional licenses where you can go to school while getting all of the benefits of being a teacher.
Okay. So you have a bachelor's degree, you decide you
Mhm.
want to, or you're thinking about getting into teaching, you get you can apply, and you said there's a lot of jobs out there
Mhm.
and a lot of options. Now, what if two questions for you, and one is going to be the important question. The first question is, what kind of pay can somebody expect?
Well, that can vastly differ depending on state and county. And
Hmm.
actually, I don't work in the county I live in. I
Hmm.
started off in the county I lived in, but I moved to one county north to get better pay.
Yeah.
So, but if it's a public school, it's public information. So all
Hmm.
you have to do is Google the name of the county and state teacher pay scale, and it's right there on the internet. So you can figure out how much they pay in your area.
If you can just give us an idea, are we talking $10 an hour? Are we talking 20 to 30? I mean, can you give any kind of a, I know it varies. I know
Mhm.
it's a big country, lots of counties, lots of cities. Um, any idea, like, roughly what someone could make? Let's just say in your area,
Yeah.
where your county.
hmm So I live in a more high cost of living area near a bigger city.
Hmm.
So depends on the county, but some counties start at 50,000, some start at, let's say, 60
Hmm.
in my metropolitan city. But as far as all over the country, and I've talked to a lot of people in different parts of the country,
Hmm.
it is so different. I have a friend who moved to a county in Florida where they were only paying 35,000.
Yeah.
But so it can be that low, but I've heard New York City can pay 100,000. I've also heard it's harder to get in to New York City, but also the cost of living's higher. So when I say it can vary, I mean it could be 30,000, it could be 100,000. It's so vastly different depending on where you live.
Okay. And you mentioned too something, or not, I shouldn't say you mentioned, but I'm looking at my notes. You did say something about when you emailed me that there could be opportunities in like a private or a
Mhm.
charter school. Are they less, is there less demands for that?
They're a lot less restrictive. So
Mhm.
if you live somewhere, I've heard, let's say New York City, they pay higher, and I heard their restrictions are a lot higher. So it might be hard to get in, and
Mhm.
I don't know if they're doing provisional licenses. But yes, try a charter or private school. And
Mhm.
actually, I worked part-time at a private school while I was also working as an online teacher before I got into the public school as well. They
Mhm.
usually pay less, but it's a way to get your foot in the door. But maybe if you're living in a place like New York City where the public schools pay teachers 100,000, well, maybe if you're making just a little less than that, it might
Yeah.
be a great career if you just lost your job.
Yeah, I really, really love this option. I think it's something that if you have a bachelor's degree
Mm.
and you're looking for a second career. Now, let me ask you though, because you've mentioned provisional license of
Mhm.
like 3 or 4 times. What's a provisional license?
So it's basically you are hired on as a teacher with the teacher's salary and pay and everything. And it's a promise that within 2 or 3 years that you're going to get the certification.
Hmm.
So that's a provisional license. That's different than working, let's say, as a temporary teacher. That's slightly less pay.
So do you have to apply for a provisional license with that school or that county? Is that how you do it?
You do. So I find that, well, let's be honest, schools usually give out provisional licenses when they're desperate.
Hmm.
So I have found sometimes the information that you get on the internet isn't even up to date.
Hmm.
So I could say just Google it, but sometimes Googling doesn't have the most up to date information.
Hmm.
So if you wanted to find out if your county had a provisional license, call HR. And right now it's summertime, best time to call. This is when, schools are looking to fill positions, and
Hmm.
teachers that transfer from one school to another have usually already done it in the spring. And as it gets closer to school starting, that's when they're like, oh boy, we have 200 special education, teaching positions we need to
Uh-huh.
fill. So
Yeah.
I would call HR and talk to someone, since the information's not always on the internet, and say, do you have any provisional licenses? And
Mhm.
what are you giving provisional licenses in?
It seems to me like a great option if you're looking to get a second career and you want to make 50,000, maybe 100,000 if you're in New York City, if you can get in. So Kelly, one more time, and I don't even know if I did ask you in the beginning of this video, but I'll definitely mention it. What is your YouTube channel? What's your title? What's your name?
So my YouTube channel is Teacher Kelly Tag, and it's all things teaching. When I was teaching online, I had a lot of online videos, and those are still there. And that's actually a great side hustle too, is to teach online.
Yeah.
And then now I have videos on teaching in the classroom. I do a lot of interviews too. I like to interview people live as well, but all topics having to do with teaching.
Yeah, yeah. It's I looked at your website as I mentioned to you. I actually checked that out a couple different times. You've got some really great information on there. If somebody's looking to get into or thinking about teaching as a second career, I'd recommend your channel every day of the week. So, listen, thanks again for joining us today.
Great. Well, thanks for having me on.